This is my review of the new Star Wars The Force Awakens. I have seen it twice now, and I absolutely loved it. I give it 10 out of 10. I didn't really see too many issues or problems with the movie. Yeah, there were nitpicks here and there, but overall, that didn't really take away from my enjoyment of the movie. You can see Han and Chewie. Yes, they're back. Harrison Ford and Peter Mayhew back as Han Solo and Chewbacca. That famous smuggling duo. And yes, the Millennium Falcon is in the movie. That's not a spoiler. By the way, this will not be a spoiler review. There will be no spoilers in this review. But yeah, we do see the Millennium Falcon back in the Star Wars saga. Now it was in Revenge of the Sith. I think it was Kevin Smith that said it was not in Revenge of the Sith, or not in the prequels. Actually, it was. It was in Revenge of the Sith, but it was one of those blink and you'll miss it moments in Revenge of the Sith. Speaking of the prequels, this movie outdoes the prequels by a mile. You know, for those who kind of gave up on Star Wars after the prequels, well, this movie helps to wash the taste of the prequels out of your mouth. Believe me, this one is great. The characters were great. We saw the original cast from the original trilogy. Han Solo, Chewbacca, Princess Leia, who's now General Leia. Luke, we see the droids, R2 and 3PO. And we even see a couple of characters that were in the original trilogy in Return of the Jedi, Admiral Akbar and Nien Nunb. It was nice to see them. I was like, hey, there's Admiral Akbar, and there's Nien Nunb. But the movie is great. And what can I say about the new characters in this movie? Finn and Rey and Poe Dameron and BB-8. BB-8 was great. BB-8 was not CGI. That was a real device that they used. It was a real robot. Well, real as far as when I say real, I mean that it was puppet. It was a puppet and everything else, but BB-8 was not CGI. So that was a nice touch. And Poe Dameron is a great pilot, kind of like Luke was, and like his father was, Anakin, Darth Vader. Finn was a great character, a former stormtrooper. Rey was just this scavenger on the planet Jakku. And I tell you, the planets in this new movie were great. Also, Jakku and the Starkiller base, which is the new super weapon that the First Order is using. It's not the Empire; it's the First Order. And also Snoke, the new supreme leader of the First Order. You talk about a creepy character. And I think he's going to be a big player in the next two trilogy sequels. And Kylo, well, let's not forget about Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren, great character, very, very unstable, you might say, emotionally unstable. Certainly, yes. If you see the movie, you will note, yes, he's very emotionally unstable. And it reflects in his lightsaber and his lightsaber design. His lightsaber doesn't look the same as let's say Luke's or somebody else's or any other Jedi, or the way Obi-Wan's looked, the way Darth Vader's looked in the original trilogy. So. But to see the X-Wings again, just to see the X-Wings and the TIE fighters, and even some Star Destroyers. There's some Star Destroyers, new design Star Destroyers in the new movie. I mean, it was tremendous to see all these ships, all these different ships again. Of course, when you first see the Millennium Falcon in the movie, it's like, oh, it's a nice callback. It's like, yeah, there's the Falcon. You get excited about seeing the Millennium Falcon, the fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy, and it certainly is. It lives up to its name in this movie again. But J.J. Abrams, I think, did a tremendous job directing this one. I thought, and the screenwriting by Lawrence Kasdan, who wrote The Empire Strikes Back, was also on point. I thought it was great. Now, Captain Phasma, a very interesting character. We'll just say that I would have liked to have seen more of her in the movie. A lot of people have talked about she's not utilized enough in this new movie, and she's really not. She's really not utilized that much, and that's not a spoiler. That's just, I mean, she was supposed to be this Boba Fett type character, this, this stormtrooper captain dressed in the silver armor. And without giving too much away, she's kind of relegated to being almost a joke. And I was a bit disappointed by that, because the actress who plays her is really terrific, Gwendolyn Christie. And I want to praise like Adam Driver as Kylo Ren. The new General Hux, played by Domhnall Gleeson, was really good. Daisy Ridley, John Boyega as Rey and Finn, loved him. Oscar Isaacs as Poe Dameron, loved him. He was great. I can't decide which new character I liked more. I liked all of them. I liked all the new characters, the new folks. And there was a lot of humor in this movie, but it wasn't overplayed. There was a good bit of humor. The humor was natural, unlike with the prequels, where when you had the prequels, a lot of the humor depended on fart jokes and all that. I mean, you don't want fart jokes in Star Wars. And, of course, don't even get me started on Jar Jar Binks. Ugh. But this movie makes up for the prequels. Majorly. Big time. This one makes up for the prequels in every way. And having seen it twice, you really gain a lot of perspective about the characters. There are some interesting elements that I won't go into in this review as far as, certain relationships to certain characters and things like that. Some of you who've seen the movie already most likely know what those relationships are. And we all know that there's a big shocking moment in the movie. Won't spoil that. But, and I think it was a moment that's going to move the series forward. I think it's going to change the scope of the series. And I highly recommend going to see this. I highly recommend going to see Force Awakens. It's tremendous. And you will find out, why the Force has awakened and who it has awakened in. I won't say who. But it's going to be it's a great payoff when we as the audience find out who the Force has awakened in. If you think about it, back during the original trilogy, Return of the Jedi, a lot of people might have assumed that had to do with Luke coming back as a Jedi. No, that had nothing to do with Luke. It had to do with Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader. The return of Anakin Skywalker after he reformed, after he turned back to the good side, the light side of the Force. That's what Return of the Jedi had to do with. And there is significance in the title of Force Awakens. Trust me on this. For those who haven't seen it, there is significance to that title. But anyway, yes, I highly recommend seeing the new Star Wars movie. It is tremendous. It is a true tour de force. I absolutely loved it. It felt like Star Wars again. I felt like I was watching a Star Wars movie when I saw it. I said, this is the Star Wars movie we've been waiting for since Empire Strikes Back. I know I said Empire Strikes Back because Return of the Jedi, while it was a good movie, wasn't as good as the first two. It was especially not as good as Empire Strikes Back, which is my favorite of the original trilogy. Empire's, yeah, a lot of people say Empire is their favorite of the original trilogy. If I were to rank the original trilogy in this movie, it would be Empire number 1, and the original New Hope would be number 2. Close third would be actually tied for second would be A New Hope and Force Awakens. Then third is Return of the Jedi. So that's how highly I rank this movie. This was absolutely amazing. It's a great movie. I love the fact that J.J. Abrams used practical effects rather than a lot of CGI. There is CGI in the movie, but it's not overutilized like it was in the prequels. They used a lot more practical effects in this one. I'm glad they did, because I think CGI would have just made it look all look cheap, and it just wouldn't have looked as good. It would have been like the prequels all over again. But they utilized a lot of practical effects, and they used just the right amount of CGI. They didn't use too much. That was what I enjoyed about it. But anyway, yeah, if you haven't seen it, you got to see this one. If you're a Star Wars fan, yes, see The Force Awakens. If you're not a Star Wars fan, if you just like a great movie, see The Force Awakens. And you won't regret it. Trust me, you won't regret it. This one's great. This one is great. This is truly the Star Wars movie we have been waiting for over 35 years. Go see it.